Hello everybody, welcome back to the Bad Bookers Wrestling Podcast. My name is Jack and today we are reviewing Monday Night Raw. A Monday Night Raw that was very uneventful, I guess you could say. It's a go-home show. It's usually uneventful, if I'm honest. It was a very top-heavy first half with not a lot happening after that. But always remember, put your comments down below on how you thought Raw went and why you're down there. Please leave a like and a subscribe if you're new around here. So we kicked off Monday Night Raw with Brock Lesnar. Well, first of all, we had the Martin Luther King video package celebrating the life of Martin Luther King. And then Brock Lesnar came out with Paul Heyman, and Paul Heyman cuts a promo about how, you know, John Cena and the people all believe in Finn Bálor, and he also believes in Finn Bálor, that he believes that Finn Bálor believes that he could beat Brock Lesnar, but he's obviously not going to beat Lesnar on Sunday in Phoenix at the Royal Rumble. And Brock will show him that him and everyone else that he should have believed in Brock Lesnar all this time, because Suplex City and all that jazz. Vince McMahon then comes out. It's been a while since we've seen Vince and Brock Lesnar in the same ring. He reminds everyone of the story of David and Goliath, and he said that David was reincarnated into Finn Bálor, and that everyone that believes that Finn Bálor is going to win also believes in fairy tales. So proper trying to bury Finn here. Stop trying to bury Finn, mate. Instead of Finn coming out, we have a wild Braun Strowman come out and claims that last Monday was his worst day ever. Losing out on 100 grand and losing out on a chance to face Brock for the title, but it was also Brock's luckiest day that he got taken out of the title match, because he would just destroyed him. He was quickly followed by Finn Bálor, who came out and said no matter what Vince believes, no matter, he doesn't care that Vince doesn't believe in him, because he believes himself and the Bálor Club believes in him. Braun tells Finn Bálor that, you know, you better win, essentially. Finn just turned to him and says, look mate, keep out of my business, because on Sunday I'm going to do what you've never done, and that's beat Brock Lesnar. Which is, Braun Strowman's out here saying that, oh, he can beat Brock Lesnar and all that. Does anyone want to remind Braun how many times he's lost to Brock? And that if he had lost to Brock on Sunday, he might as well have left the company, essentially. But anyway, after some more back and forth, Vince makes a match between the Monster Among Men, I was going to say Finn Bálor, Braun Strowman versus Finn Bálor, with Brock and Heyman at ringside. And that's the match we had to kick off Monday Night Raw, I guess you can say. It was a classic big man, little man match. Braun on top, with them Finn coming back every now and again. And at one point, Finn went up to the top rope. Braun pushes him off to the outside, and he lands in Brock Lesnar's arms. Brock Lesnar then suplexes Finn Bálor on the outside, but it's not a DQ for some reason. I don't know why the ref didn't call the match there and then, but I guess it's ref's discretion, and that's what the ref feels like he wants to do. But then Brock goes up on the apron, and they have a little stare off, Brock and Braun, before Finn Bálor just hulks up and just absolutely destroys Brock Lesnar for a bit. Brock Lesnar loves selling for the smaller guys for some reason. He just loves it, because he makes Finn Bálor look like a star, just like he made AJ and Daniel Bryan look like the best damn wrestlers ever. Which, to be fair, arguments that they are. Finn Bálor then gets back in the ring and starts getting the better of Braun Strowman as well, and he kicks Braun into the corner. He falls right in place, and Finn Bálor goes up for the coup de grace, which he hits, only to be hit by an F5 by Brock Lesnar. And the last visual you can see is Brock Lesnar walking out with Braun and Finn lying down in the ring. What's going to happen on Sunday? in the Royal Rumble. Is Finn going to win the title? Is Brock going to retain it, keep it until Mania? I believe his UFC fight is somewhere between Mania and now. Is he going to take the title into the UFC? Don't know. We'll have to wait and see. Bobby Lashley then comes out with Lio Rush, and Lio Rush claims that not only is Bobby Lashley better than Seth Rollins, better than Dean Ambrose, but he's also better than the entire damn locker room. And he's not out here doing an open challenge, because open challenges are for kids, and he's not a kid. He's a real fighter. He's not here for fun. He's here for money, and that's all they care about, money. Lashley, there's a little podium in the ring, so he's going to do some poses, and I was holding my breath. I was like, if you slap your ass, I've been saying for weeks, I'm glad that Bobby Lashley stopped slapping his ass, and I don't mind him being IC champion as long as he doesn't slap his ass. And this is the perfect opportunity for him to slap his ass. Luckily, he didn't, so good, good. Lashley, he stands on this podium, and Lio Rush puts the IC belt around his waist. But they're quickly interrupted by Apollo Crews. And Apollo Crews comes out and congratulates Bobby Lashley, but says that no one came to see him pose. Everyone came to see a scrap, basically. Lio Rush then, for some reason, offers a pose-off between Bobby and Apollo. And Apollo Crews turns around and says, I don't know how to pose. And then Lio Rush retaliates by saying, well, by your track record, you don't know how to be a champion either. So it's just like, oh, sick burn, mate, sick burn. Apollo agrees to this pose off, and yeah, they have a pose off, and it was the crowd pops. So it was the biggest pop of Apollo Crews' career, I think. Him going up to the podium to oppose. So at least it got Apollo Crews over for at least a night. So good. I guess that is good. And then they go, and Apollo Crews hits his last pose before getting attacked by Bobby Lashley. And Bobby Lashley goes to chuck him over the top rope, but Apollo Crews chucks him in through the middle rope. We're in Rumble season. They're not chucking each other over the top rope. This is mental. Absolutely mental. Apollo Crews then picks up Lio Rush and chucks him at Bobby Lashley. And then we have an ad break, and we come back, and the match has been made. Bobby Lashley versus Apollo Crews. Don't know if it was for the IC title. It wasn't made clear, but it doesn't matter because Bobby Lashley won anyway. Apollo went to lift, his gorilla press. He went to lift Bobby Lashley twice, but he dropped him both times because of his back. I don't know if it was a botch or it was just part of the story. I assume it was a botch. He just couldn't hold the weight of Bobby Lashley. But instead he lifted up Lio Rush, and then that's what hit. It was a really short match, to be fair. Now that I'm thinking about it, it's a really short match. Bobby Lashley then hit the spear on Apollo Crews while he had Lio Rush up in a gorilla press, and then pinned him 1, 2, 3. And that was the match. Like I said, I'm pretty sure it's like a 5-minute match. It wasn't really worth the match, but I think that's because they ended it early because of Apollo's back, but I'm not too sure. As this was happening, they were celebrating and whatnot. Seth Rollins' music hits, and he comes down to the ring, and Bobby Lashley goes back up the ramp. They have a stare-off, because obviously we're going to have Drew McIntyre versus Seth Rollins. And I like these interactions between wrestlers, like walking past each other on the ramp, like faces, like smile with each other. Usually it's Finn Bálor too sweet and someone or something. This time it was a heel and a face who've recently been feuding. I like these little interactions. It makes it seem, I don't know, a little bit more real, I guess you could say. Instead of like da 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 da, like in the middle of celebrating, it's time for you to go out. You go out. Bobby Lashley's going to be annoyed by this. It just seems a bit real. I don't know. But before the match, Seth Rollins cuts a promo about how he's going to win the Rumble, and he knows it's a long shot, but he's always had long shots. He has never been a WWE type of guy. He's not big, he's not muscly. He's from a small town and whatnot, but because of his determination and passion for the business, that he will overcome the long shot and he will win the Royal Rumble on Sunday. But then he's interrupted by Drew McIntyre, and he said, "I'm going to kick your head off in this match, but before I do, I'm going to tell you why you're not going to win the Royal Rumble, and that's because of your style. You're always flipping and flying and whatnot. But just remember, if you put your passion, Seth, and your determination into a 6 foot plus, 265 pound Terminator, you get Drew frickin' McIntyre." Drew McIntyre's amazing on the mic. He's improved so much since the early days. I hadn't really noticed it, if I'm honest. Like, I noticed that he was a good promo, but this one kind of proved to me, like, yeah, Drew's up there. Drew's up there with the likes of Miz and Joe for me in terms of promo skills, and he can do it in the ring just like the other two as well. So good for him. We then had a match between Seth and Drew, like I said, and it was a fantastic match, to be fair. They seemed to have some fantastic chemistry together. Drew was hitting all the big moves on Seth, but he just couldn't put him down. Seth looking like the proper underdog warrior before Seth picking up a roll-up victory by he literally just folded Drew onto himself and pinned him after a roll-up pretty much. So Seth's got the advantage going into the Rumble, essentially. You'd think that these two would be Final Four. Not too sure, but it might happen, it might not. Next up, we had Jinder and the Singhs versus the Lucha House Party in a randomly placed filler match. Didn't last long. Lucha House Party won. We then had Elias come out. I know I've skipped over that match. It was just it was kind of like a piss break match. It was just there. Didn't really watch it. Elias then come out, and he was quickly interrupted by Baron Corbin. And he said that Baron Corbin said, "Look, Elias, you snaked me last week when you snitched me up to Braun Strowman. Nearly got killed by him." You know, Baron Corbin's still getting heat, which is fantastic. The crowd are hating him every second. And he says that he's going to beat up Elias in the match they're going to have. Now, you might think, Elias Corbin, they always have matches. What's this all about? They've only ever had one match, one singles match before. That was only a couple of weeks ago. I didn't even notice. But yeah, this is only their second ever singles match on Raw, I believe. But yeah, Elias reminds him that he's no longer GM. He can't go around making matches. But then Elias sings a song because he got some guy called Lance to cut Corbin's mic off, and then he sings a song about Corbin, and then they had a match, which was, once again, it was a pretty nothing match. This is where the show started to go a little bit downhill. They had a match, end of days on Elias, and Baron Corbin picks up the victory, and we then have a moment of bliss. Alexa Bliss talks about the women that are in the Rumble. She goes through everyone. Obviously, they had this thing on Twitter where they announced all the already announced people pretty much every 30 minutes and whatnot, like the likes of Nia Jax and Dana Brooke and Naomi and whatnot. And then she brings out her guest, which is Nia Jax, but before she could speak, thankfully, because we all know what Nia Jax promo is, Ember Moon comes out and says that she's gonna win the Rumble, and then she is cut off by Alicia Fox, who essentially says, she doesn't say it, but essentially says she's gonna win the Rumble. She is then interrupted by Mickie James, who essentially says she's gonna win the Rumble, and then the whole heel locker room, it seems, and Nikki Cross, she was there, come out to the stage, and Alexa Bliss says that this is my show, this is not happening, this is not going to end up in a brawl. Nia Jax tries to calm everyone down and then just beats everyone up, and there's a massive brawl on the stage, and Alexa Bliss has just sat there like, oh, this is happening then. It then spills out into the gorilla position area, and the cameras go back onto Alexa Bliss, and she was like, well, that happens, and then out of nowhere, Alexa Bliss announces that she will be in the Royal Rumble match. She's not confirmed, but she's cleared to be in the Rumble, and she will be in the Royal Rumble match, which, if you wanted a surprise, keep it, but I guess if they need to sell tickets, someone like Alexa Bliss is perfect to sell tickets, I guess. Whatever. If that's the reason why they've done it, to sell tickets, then fine. I would have preferred it to keep it a surprise, but if they need to sell tickets, they need to sell tickets, don't they? Next up, we had a match between Ascension and Heavy Machinery. It was a pretty fun match with Heavy Machinery picking up the win, but it was a really sad state of affairs, really, to have Heavy Machinery's debut match against one of NXT's greatest tag teams in Ascension, and it just shows how far Ascension have dropped since NXT, and I feel sorry for them, man. And that's the Heavy Machinery's debut match, but they got to remember that's what could happen to them. They could be the next Ascension, which we won't know until it happens, I guess. Next up, we had another tag team match between the Revival and Chad Gable and Bobby Roode, with Hawkins as special guest referee after a segment between the Revival and Vince earlier, with all the stuff that's going on with the Revival at the moment. That was a bit weird to see, wasn't it? The Hawkins is special guest referee, and he seemed to be the best referee on the main roster because he kept on catching the Revival cheating. So at one point, the Revival, I think it was Dash, was holding Scott Dawson's leg to keep the pin cover. Curt Hawkins spotted that. Dash Wilder had his feet up on the ropes to have leverage on a pin. Curt Hawkins spotted that. Scott Dawson had tights, had held a Chad Gable's tights in a pin. Once again, spotted by Curt Hawkins. And then Chad Gable, I think one of them, goes to roll up Scott Dawson, and Dash Wilder was holding on to Scott Dawson, so he didn't get rolled up. So one was on the apron, one was in the ring. But then Curt Hawkins just broke that apart and then fast counted for the win. Seems a bit weird end to the match, but that happens. But then the Revival beat down on Curt Hawkins after the match. Obviously, Roode and Gable retained their championships. They beat down on Curt Hawkins, and who was there to save Curt Hawkins? None other than his fellow Edgehead, Zack Ryder. He comes out, and that tag team seems to have come back together, which it's always good to see a new tag team. Maybe they'll get a rise, and maybe Curt Hawkins will finally pick up a win for himself, and that would be nice. That would be nice, wouldn't it? Next up, we had the main event of the evening, Ronda Rousey and Natalya versus Sasha Banks and Bayley, and it seems that Sasha Banks is slowly but surely finally turning heel. She was very, very heelish in this match. Ronda cut a mentally fast promo, did not understand a word she was saying. She needs to just slow down, take a breath even, while she's talking, because I had no clue what was going on. It seemed like a 10-minute promo, which she did in 2 minutes. It was mental, absolutely mental. They then go to the ring. This was like in gorilla position. They then go to the ring, and Sasha and Bayley obviously do their thing in the ring to hype up the crowd, I guess you can say, with behind her, which I really like this image. They were all happy and smiling, looking out to the ring, with Ronda looking to rip Sasha's head off and trying to get past Natalya to get to Sasha. And yeah, I really liked it. Sasha Banks cut a promo on Ronda before the match and said that she's a 4-time women's champion. And once again, the crowd's no sold to the fact that she threw up the 4 symbol. Just, man, 2 weeks in a row. 2 weeks in a row. This was a fun match, to be fair. Not too much going on, but it ended up with Sasha Banks making Natalya tap out. So that's Ronda Rousey's first loss. She didn't get pinned or submitted, but it's her first loss since joining WWE, which pretty mental. Pretty mental if you think about that. Will she lose on Sunday? Probably not. Probably not. But yeah, Bayley and Sasha especially looked heelish. Absolutely heelish. Bayley was like not herself either. She didn't seem like a full cut babyface. She was a bit of a tweener in this cage, but Sasha looks pretty much full heel. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens there. And that was Monday Night Raw. I'm going to give it 2 stars and 3/4 because it was pretty uneventful. That's it, pretty uneventful. If you did like that, please leave a like on the video. It means a hell of a lot to me. Please subscribe if you're new around here or you haven't done so already. And I shall see you again tomorrow for SmackDown Live, and then 205 Live, and then Matt maybe might be doing an NXT review, and then we've got a whole weekend of predictions. We've got the podcast on Thursday. Predictions will be out. They'll be out on the podcast, but they'll be out on YouTube on Saturday, and then something else on Sunday, I can't remember, and then our review of Rumble next Monday, just before Raw. I love pay-per-view week. It's amazing. Thank you very much for watching.